Welcome to the RC Roundtable podcast, where we discuss the latest RC hobby news, events, model reviews, and a whole lot more. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the RC Roundtable, episode number 194.
Was that a skit?
Hello, how you doing? I needed my drink. I forgot my drink.
I thought it was a skit.
Yeah,
I thought he was doing another bit back there, putting a mask on, getting into character, preparing his voice,
drinking his own urine. We
were robbed.
Yeah. Hey, man, it's best purely filtered urine you can buy.
Oh, jeez. Go there.
Well, hello to you too. Can't start a show without being ragged on.
Nope.
No respect. I tell you, no respect. Well then, we're off to a good start.
We are
here at the RC Roundtable.
Fitz, you're doing great.
All right, let's get the show in a row. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, right?
Well, we're all back.
Writ of lore.
We should follow up. We're all back.
And we need to start.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot Terry was gone last time.
Yeah, I'm not sure I should be flattered by that.
No, the intro to last episode was spot on for Terry.
No.
Mighty ho!
Yeah. All right, so I've got one question for you guys to start off with. 40 grit or 80 grit?
60. Split the difference.
I'm afraid to answer. Depends. Is this something you is it rubbing your face on it, or
no? I'm going to rub your face on it because you both need to get sandpapered for the stuff you said about me in the last show.
Oh,
you said
you have to remind me. I don't remember.
Let me get it out. So you guys said that I wasn't there because I had my colonoscopy that morning and I was out of it. Fake news. That was not the case. I did have my colonoscopy that morning, but I was fine. I could have done the show. The reason I wasn't on is because my son was in town for just a couple days and I'd had my procedure that morning, so I hadn't been able to spend any time with him before that. So I took some family time and let you guys handle the show without me. But my concern is that you guys were saying I was out of it. We're making people think that it's a bigger deal than it really is. So let's cover that. What?
You seem awfully butthurt about something that nobody cares about.
Maybe I am. And
nobody would have been any wiser. Nobody would have blamed you. You got to go give us this spiel about the. Look at my violin.
We've made a big point of getting people to consider getting checked up, and they were like, "Oh, Terry can't make it because he did the thing we're telling you to do." No, that's not it at all. It's not
I'm not sure we made it sound like you were like crouching over and crying in tears and had a big like donut pillow to sit on. Well, I think we just said he were incapacitated.
I had several people email me and ask if I was okay. So to those of you who reached out, thank you. I'm fine. The procedure was fine.
Oh my gosh.
Don't
get one. Yeah, don't forget to PSA it now. Say, hey, it was no big deal. I was out and about. I was jogging. I was dancing in the tulips.
All right, so I'll do the quick rundown, and I think this will mirror every story I heard about it going in. The procedure itself was nothing. They gave me an IV, and then they put me in under, and then the next thing I know, I'm waking up, and it's all done. And this was different. I haven't been under anesthesia for a while, but I came out of this anesthesia, felt perfectly fine. No nausea, no grogginess, no telling all my truths to anybody who would listen. It was just like I woke up from a nap. And then we went and had lunch, and that was it. It was over. So the bad part about it, quote unquote, is the day before, because you have to fast all day, and then starting the evening before, you have to take the concoction that cleans you out. And it's just kind of no fun to fast all day. And that was the day I picked my son up he was in Minneapolis. So I drove to Minneapolis and picked him up. I can't eat, but he wants to have lunch on the way home. So he's over there eating a hamburger in the car, and I could smell it. but I couldn't have one bite of it. So that was the worst part of the whole thing, just having to smell my son eating a greasy hamburger.
At that point, he rides in the trunk.
Yeah, right. So, anyway, yeah, the medicine stuff, it's no fun, but it's not that big a deal. It's just, it gets out what needs to get out, and then you're done. And a little note that I wasn't prepared for, it lingers for a couple of days after. So you're not back to normal right away, or at least I wasn't. So just be ready for that. So we can wrap up this whole thing with, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad it's over. Yeah, it was not a big deal. I got to go again in 5 years. So yeah, I'm ready for it then. So for those of you out there who haven't done it yet and you're due for it, go get your colonoscopy, get it knocked out, and hopefully, you don't find anything, or hopefully you catch whatever you have early.
You get a little punch card. Buy 4, get the 5th one for free.
The 5th one, yeah, you never get that.
So wait, you got to do it every 5 years?
Well,
or what's the story?
Yeah, I don't know what the total protocol is. You're supposed to start, I think it's at 45 now, and
40, 45, yeah.
Yeah. And if they don't find anything, maybe it's 10 years. But if they find anything, it's 5 years. I don't know exactly. I don't want to misquote the guidelines, but go see your doctor. He'll tell you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So on me, they found a couple polyps, which turned out to be benign. And then what's that? Diverticulitis. So
that wad of chewing gum you swallowed back in 8th grade that they swallowed 20 or 30 years to get through your intestines.
Yeah. Whatever is the cause of diverticulitis, verticulum, little pockets in your intestines where stuff can get caught and start to...
Diverticulitis.
Yeah.
What's it say they grow? A pumpkin seed. No, watermelon seed, right? They say if you eat watermelon seeds, they'll start growing.
Or whatever can get caught, yeah. So anyway, they had a couple of those, but nothing that is alarming. At least that's what they told me. So anyway... you guys don't need to see the insides of my colon, but there you go. Yeah,
okay,
she's all
done yet?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Wait till Fitz says his. We'll bring up those photos.
I'm just not going to tell you guys. I'm going to say, what colonoscopy? What colonoscopy? And then you're going to ask me, oh yeah, that was 5 months ago.
Let's do it live. We have a very special episode of RC Roundtable.
All right, next.
Okay, next.
What do we have next?
Do we want to talk about the new stuff?
Yeah, let's talk about new stuff.
List, Gary, I think you guide us around.
Yeah, guide us around the new stuff.
Well, then I got to pull up the list. But
you got to make up. You got to make up from your time that you were gone. So,
okay. Right. Well, I'm not sure if we mentioned it, if you and I mentioned it, Fitz, but the new Decathlon came out, the RJ Gritter model from E-Flight.
Yes.
So, we want to talk about that bad boy. Have you seen it? Like the website?
I haven't looked at the website. I saw the some videos on social media and here and there, but I haven't really poked at the website. So we will have to look at it real time, see what the good stuff is about it.
Well, one of our friends at Tri-County Barnstormers, Gabe, he's got one. I saw him post a photo. He hadn't put it together, at least last time I checked, but he had the box in his hand, so I think he's excited about it.
That's neat. Looks like it's got a pretty wide battery range, 3S 2200 to a 4S 3200.
Yes, I think it's similar to the Timber X.
Yeah, that's nice.
So 4S 2200.
Yeah, 4S.
Yeah, if you want the ultimate power to weight. Yeah. But still, it's likely you'd have something in your box already you can throw in there.
All right, well, let's hit the basics. It's a 1.2 meter foamy.
Yep.
And it looks like RJ Gritter's.
It's all patriotic looking.
So his Decathlon did not look like this at Oshkosh last year.
No, it didn't. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it's
repainted
and quite intricate for a foamy.
Yeah, it is.
It looks good.
That seemed like it took several masks to do.
Yeah.
And stars and yeah.
So we talked.
Was it Oshkosh last year? I don't remember him at Oshkosh.
Yeah.
I probably saw it
about.
We sat together. We sat together and watched it.
Oh, okay.
Three of us.
Yeah, well,
We did.
it's such a. I was so saturated with everything there, trying to remember everything.
So we talked about him because we were all impressed with how fluid his aerobatics were.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Now I remember. Yes.
It wasn't like, here, I'm going to do this crazy hanging on the prop maneuver and then don't watch while I go over here and then do another one. It flowed nicely from one into the next in low power aerobatics in a Citabria.
Low power, fairly low to the ground too, wasn't he?
And darn.
Yeah.
So here's what I find interesting. Did he have that sucker painted since Oshkosh? I mean, I'm assuming this is the same decathlon. I mean, he might have more than one, but he had to have painted that after Oshkosh, and they have had to have kitted this with a new paint scheme since then.
Good point.
Yeah, one of the videos, I think he said he did a rebuild of it that included a paint job.
Well, that's pretty impressive for them to
turn around the decathlon with a new paint scheme.
Yeah, I wonder if they told them beforehand, Horizon beforehand, say, hey, this is the paint scheme I'm going to go with, so you have time to ramp up production and not get it.
Yeah, the lead time on that stuff is usually a long time. So.
Yeah. Well, there's some videos I saw. It looks like it flies really nice. If you like, for a decathlon-like plane, high wing aerobatic, seems like something really nice.
Yeah.
Seems like it's be popular. I saw a lot of good comments about it on the interwebs. So it seems like it probably could be a nice plane. Nice size, easy to transport. It's non-threatening type of plane, so to speak. If you know what I mean?
No, what do you mean?
Well, it's a high wing tricycle gear. Well, tail dragger, but it's something that people are. It's not like a heavy metal warbird where some people might be intimidated by it. This is basically an aerobatic trainer kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it looks good. I was impressed when I saw it. I did stay on it, but I'm just really impressed with the color scheme and how intricate that is and how good it looks, at least in the pictures. I don't know what it's like in person.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anybody who has one. Like I said, Lee, maybe you can say that the next time you see one.
So Gabe has one, but I will tell you that searching on Instagram, or just perusing Instagram rather, I do follow a couple of RC folks, and I'm sorry his name skips me, but he was showing that the rudder on his decathlon was loose, like the top head stripped. I don't know. I can't see the photos here if there are small hinges, embedded, or
I assume it's a live hinge.
So one entire hinge,
or just a seam in the rudder with the foam. Yeah.
Well, in which case, I guess an inch or two of the connection area had moved because he was holding the rudder and it was flopping. And he had posed the question and said, should I fix it or should I send it back to Horizon Hobby? I was like, well, take a picture and send it to Horizon Hobby, but yeah, you can fix that really easy. So
was that Tall Guys RC?
That may have been it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So there's going to be some little issues here and there, but from the videos, yeah, it looks like it's a great flying plane, and I'm all in. I'd like to get a decathlon like that.
And one neat thing is, I think it's that red device we can see here. There's a little mechanism. When you remove the wing, it holds the struts so they don't flop around.
Oh, so that's what that was. I was going to ask, what the heck was that red bracket?
Yeah,
so I guess you pull it out and hold it, and it holds the struts?
Yeah, I think it connects to the center of the wing, and then the ends of the struts that would normally attach to the fuselage attach to this little jiggamadoo so they don't flop. So, yeah, pretty clever.
Clever. Very clever. There you go. I can probably zoom in there.
Yeah,
all right, well, take a look at the manual if you want.
Yeah.
If this is something you're
RTFM,
interested in.
right?
Yeah.
Well, they're out there now. They're in the wild, so probably not too hard to find one.
Yeah. Check out your local hobby shop or local flying field. Probably see one.
Did we talk about prices?
The B&F price is $270.
All right. That seems par for the course. All right. If any of you guys out there in podcast land already have one and have flown it, put a comment on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think. We're interested to hear how this thing flies.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. You have the next one up, Lee?
I
buddies at Old School Model Works had something that popped up?
They do.
Where's the rest of it?
That's all of
it. to be shipped later.
You get one piece a month for it.
Oh my God. The Polaris Part a Month Club.
So we're looking at a tailless design. Looks like it certainly looks reminiscent of some of the planes from back in the 80s that were popular for a while that had no tail, a wing, and a fuselage, and a rudder, and that was it. So minimal design, but usually these things are pretty fast. So it's nice that this one has wheels, not a hand launch. Yeah. Well, what's that on the rear? Go back up. So the motor's on the front. I thought the motor's on the rear for a second. Go back up. Look at that on the rear. It looks like was it a rocket tube or just?
It could be.
That's interesting.
I have
maybe it's getting a colonoscopy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's got an opening on the back that looks like you could stick a Estes rocket in it or something. But look at the video here. Yeah, there we go. I haven't seen the videos. I just saw it announced, but that's cool.
Yeah, obviously, this is a laser cut balsa and plywood kit, as are all the models from Old School Model Works.
Yeah. So I may be ragging on a little bit, but the flag wings are fun. I have I still have my crazy wing that Gary Wright designed, and that thing was a ball of fun. They were really fast and just neat plane to zip around in and stuff. So this one looks like in the same vein, except this one has wheels. The crazy wing had a hand launch, but this one is nice. You can,
allow me to be pedantic.
Yeah.
As if I'm not usually that way. I think this would actually be a tailless airplane rather than a flying wing because it has a distinct fuselage.
Didn't I say tailless?
I thought you said flying wing at some point, but
no. Well, maybe I was vaguely describing it, but yeah, I agree. I consider this a tailless.
All right, so it's I assume elevons and it has a rudder too. So 4-channel.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the rudder interacts with such a short coupling and no elevator stabilizer. Yeah, it's interesting. So, I think I think all three of us, or Lee at least has a kit. We've all built Old School Model Works kits.
Yeah, I still have a box of balsa.
Oh.
I will get to it right before I die.
Just want to say they're all well-engineered kits. So,
so it's
this will be a cool
50-inch
thing to build.
wingspan.
Really, that big?
Yeah, 39 inches
that was
long,
smaller.
4 to 6 pounds as RTF.
Oh, yeah, look at that. 40 to 60 size glow for a 6S 700-watt electric power system. Wow.
But I'm with Fitz. The one line that's missing is, an E motor. ES's motor.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, right there. Stick a little SDs in there with a little remote igniter. That could be pretty fun, actually.
Punch it, Chewy.
Yeah. Or I wonder if you can stick a second motor in the back. Have a push-pull.
Fitz, you can do anything you want.
Anything you want.
Right. I'm looking at this and just bear with me for a moment. I love the idea of changing this around to be like a spaceship because I'd like to see this like in a gray color and change the canopy around a little bit so it looks more, futuristic. And maybe you can go ahead and, keep the nose on the prop that way. You could have fun with it, but it needs little laser guns. It needs a little T-tail on the rudder there. It needs to have an attack look on it.
What do you mean?
Carbon fiber.
What do you mean by a T-tail?
Put a little horizontal stab on top of the rudder.
Dress it up a bit.
To put some more lasers on it.
Or how about a V-tail?
I guess you could. Yeah.
Harry can do that.
Yeah.
A tri-tail. Come on, man. Let's put all the tails on it. But I just think you could have fun with this to just make it stand out from the rest.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Mark, our buddy at Old School, he encourages that. I think he considers his kits a baseline, and then you can modify it from there however you want to make it reflect you. So, Lee, it sounds like you're going to build one of these.
Of course it is. Of course you're going to say that. I know I'm my shop is full. Everything's on a waiting list. I got too many kits I need to finish. But just looking at that, I have the fun idea of going with some kind of futuristic scheme. I think it'd be cute.
Yeah. I really like the color scheme he's got here.
Oh, that stands out. Yeah,
it looks good. All right, so let's talk prices again.
The kit is $209.
$209.95, and is it available yet?
Scheduled to begin shipping in early April.
Okay, so that's a week or two.
Next month.
Okay, just ramping up production.
All right, cool. So there you go. Oldschoolmodels.com. Did I get that right?
You did. /Polaris.htm.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Interesting, called it a Polaris. There's already a model called the Polaris out there.
The flying boat thing?
Yeah. And the Mini North Star.
Yeah, there's lots of repeats. There's only so many names, Fitz.
The Fitz 1, the Fitz 2, the Fitz 3, the Fitz extraordinaire.
He says to the guy with a weird name.
Like George Foreman naming his kids.
Yeah, George. Anyway,
Lee,
what's up next?
Lee is going to tell us about Robart.
Oh.
Come on, man. You're the guy who gives the bad news.
I'm the bad news guy?
Yeah,
really?
That's your role.
Is that what we're saying now?
Bad news.
I don't know if let me see if I have the letter up, but we posted a news alert from Robart that went out. I don't know if it was email. I guess it was. But Robart has announced that that they will be ceasing landing gear construction. What was it? Did you have the date on there? I'm completely.
I think it's just they're going to whatever stock is left is what's left.
Phasing out, kind of like True Turn did with their spinners. So yeah, it started some conversations, and I don't know, love or hate them. That's really it's a divisive, appreciation of Robart. I do not have it. I do. I have not had success with my Robart gear, so I will not miss them, but I have not used a lot of retracts, like pneumatic retracts and so forth. So most of mine have it, probably come with the kit I purchased. But there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be upset. And the rumor, I'm just going to say this is rumor. Do not take this as official insider information, is that Sierra might be buying the tooling from Robart to continue gear or remake gear into their image using their special tools.
They did have some neat stuff. They had some custom things that probably are not available anywhere. In fact, I saw one at a swap meet. It caught my eye. Guy had a Robart Cub, J3 Cub undercarriage, and it was articulating, and you can put rubber bands on it or rubber whatever to make it move. And it was actually really pretty neat. And it was. I don't think that anybody else made that except for Robart, and so. I think some of the more unique stuff is probably going to really be missed versus the sort of generic 90-degree retracts may not be so much. But although I think they made a lot of stuff for larger aircraft too, that was neat. But I think the more custom things would be interesting if they could stay around somehow. But I have my own story too. When you said we're going to talk about Robart, I remembered I had these for a very long time. These are Robart half-A retracts. They were mechanical, and I've had these things for pushing 30 years. They've been out for a long time. Obviously, when I got them, it was such a unique thing. I said, wow, little mini retracts for half-A 10-size aircraft, and it was just pretty awesome to use a retract servo. And I used them. I actually had it. You can see pieces of wood in this one because that was from a plane I used to have it on. And I've used them on several different planes that were really small because it's predated the micro electric retracts you can now get. You can now get electric ones. But I've always kept these around a little bit just because of the novelty of them. And it was a really clever idea. And I actually used it on a half-A plane. An 049 powered plane had little mini retracts on it. It was the coolest thing ever. And I even had the other one I was looking at. This is a nose gear half-A.
Is that the Hummer that you talked about a couple episodes ago?
Yes, the Hummer. Yes. These came out of the Hummer. And this one actually has a steering mechanism on it. And it's funny, I actually had broken one, and you probably can't see it very well, but if you notice, here is a regular one, and here is this one. You see how it's got a little black piece in there? Mm-hmm. If you can see that very well, maybe I'll move it. Maybe I'll turn it around. There you go. You can see a little black piece sticking up. So what happened was, I think I had a hard landing or something, and I broke this normal piece. And so at the time, I don't think either they didn't have replacements or I never just bothered asking them. So I whittled out, I carved out a replacement piece out of an old propeller from the Master Air Screw black propeller. And it worked. It worked well enough. It was kind of crude, but I was able to get it up and running again. So that's my Robart story. I never really dealt with the larger Robart stuff, but
so if that happened today, would you 3D print something?
Oh yeah, heck yeah. I would just 3D print it.
Yeah. All right.
But we're talking a long time ago. So there's the letter, looks like, from Mike Vesar.
Somebody suggested that maybe this is not true because of the misspelling in the opener.
It's true. Yeah, I've talked to 2 other people that already confirmed it. So
it probably just was a rush job or wasn't proofread, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably not in the best state of mind with all this going on. So, but let's clarify: it's only the landing gear. They're not shutting down completely, right? So they're still going to have the zap glue and what was the other stuff?
I mean, the line here says we will continue to build gear during this period, provided Robart has the parts in stock.
But they're still going to make hinges.
Yeah.
And
their pin hinges are quite nice.
I cut you off.
Random accessories. Didn't they have, a lot of stuff was the air parts for their gear, so I don't know. What else did they have other than hinges and retract stuff?
Scale landing gear?
Yeah, but isn't that part of that? That's a good question.
Many other...
We're both kind of reading it.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were just pulling stuff out of your head. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to look at... Yeah, I was going to look at their letter to see if they had mentioned...
Calm down, I'll pull it back up. I can't zoom in for you.
Continue to build gear. Certain product lines.
I know. For those listening, yes, go to our Facebook page and you can pull up. You probably go to even Robart. They may have it on their news section, but the website, the press release is on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And it has been shared quite a lot from our page.
So many other great products such as super stands, scale wheels, hinges, horns, paint shakers, and other similar products will continue to be offered. So this is not the demise of Robart, it's the demise of Robart retracts.
Yeah. Yeah, they had some pretty snazzy wheels. I think I got one of their paint shakers recently for little model paints. And for some reason I'd forgotten they were part of Zap, or Zap is part of them, or is it the same company? Did they buy Zap at some point?
I think Zap bought Robart.
Oh, okay.
Pacer adhesives, right? And then there's different distributors. I don't remember that relationship, but Frank Tiano used to be one part of America, their distributor. I don't know how that all panned out.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
Oh, well,
all right.
It's unfortunate, but at least they're not going away completely. So, and maybe there's some chance things come back. So, anyways.
All right, so that's that. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's talk about Electrostreaks, shall we?
We shall.
Yes, let's.
All right. So I've been talking forever about the Electrostreak that I've been working on, which was driven by the group build that RC Plane Lab podcast hosted. Was that last year, like the beginning of the year? So I got
anybody else finish it?
Several people.
Were you the only one? Oh, okay.
No, several people have. Several people still haven't, but several people did as well.
Yeah, like me. I think I got one of the short kits and never finished. Never even touched it.
Yeah, so they offered a short kit which had laser cut ribs and laser cut fuselage formers, and then all the rest, sheet and stick and all that stuff you provide yourself, and also a set of plans. So I made a lot of headway at first, and then it was mostly framed up, and then it sat. So I had made the modification to convert it into a V-tail, and that introduced a lot more changes than I anticipated. So I think that was the big reason for why things stalled. I wouldn't say I lost interest in it, but I did lose some motivation on it for a while. But that motivation came back, and I pushed through it and got it done. Here she is. And most of you know I've already put up a video and a couple posts about it. I'll lean back so you can try to see it all.
I was impressed. It looks like you spent some time on the covering.
Terry, when you play this video back, there's something wrong with your frequency of your camera.
Oh,
when you moved the tail, it looked like it had.
Yeah, you got some
but it was
interlacing or something going on.
Yeah, it's weird interlacing. Yeah,
this only started when we went to 1080, right? So maybe that's it. I don't know.
It's probably the camera. Yeah, the camera's probably scanning differently.
But it was just really cool.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do a little footnote. By the way, folks, that's not exactly how the fuselage looks like.
It's not always like that.
Builder. It's even straight. All right, so I'll do a quick rundown on it. The modifications I made, I went slightly wider on the ailerons. I think the stock is 1 inch wide, and I went with 1.5 inches because that's what I had. So I did that. And the V-tail, of course, brushless LiPo power system. It's a 1200 kV outrunner and then a 3-cell 2200 battery, 35 amp Castle speed control. I've got 4 7.6 gram digitals in here, and that Castle control only has a linear BEC, so I ended up adding a separate BEC unit to power those digital servos. But that's about it. I was anticipating it being a little bit tail heavy because it doesn't have that big honking can motor in the front. So I extended the battery tray forward, but I still had to add 3/4 of an ounce of lead to the firewall to balance it. Not too bad.
Question: have you thought about putting a 4-cell in there instead of a 3-cell?
I have, but I don't have the prop to accommodate that because it's a folding prop. You have to buy separate blades, and it can get a little expensive. That's an aeronaut prop. So I'd have to prop down quite a bit to accommodate the 4-cell, but I could, and that's not necessarily out of the question. However, it performs really well on the 3-cell. It's 340 watts on a 30-ounce flying weight. So what is that?
Over 100 watts per pound.
50-something watts per pound.
Yeah,
that's a lot. It's not terribly fast. The pitch on this prop, I forget what it is. 8 and 8? No. 9.5, 6, I think. Or maybe it's a 9.5.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's not fast. It's not slow, but it's not ripping fast. But you point the nose up, and it just goes and goes and goes and never seems to slow down. So I think I could trade some climbing power for speed with a prop change. And I may do that, but I'm really happy with the way it flies now. I finally got it trimmed out where I'm comfortable launching it myself, and I've flown it. I've taken it on 2 different outings and flew it several times on both outings. It flies nice. It's surprisingly aerobatic, and it's got a good speed range, so I'm happy with it. And you guys probably saw the video I posted where I tried to take the wings off by flying it into a windsock.
Yeah,
I did.
Pay attention.
Yeah, that was really close. So I'm not sure what else to say about it. Oh, I've never used one of these before, but on the bottom for the battery hatch, there's a little plastic latch here. You probably can't see it, but it's one of these Dubro hatches or Dubro latches. So it just CA's on it.
Yeah.
Makes it really easy. So I was happy I did that. And then there's 2 other
drawer somewhere, but never used it.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. And then there's 2 other panels here that give me access to the radio gear. So, yeah, that's it. I tried to keep it as simple as I could while still accommodating that V-tail, which I don't know if I would do that again if I were to build another one. I like how it looks and I like how it flies, but it just really added a lot of complexity to what is essentially a very simple airplane. So, live and learn. All right. Do you guys have any questions about it? All right. I'll take your deafening silence as a no.
It's
I think
pretty.
you covered it. Yeah, I was going to say, it was a nice covering job.
Thank you. So what people tend to notice is the leopard print trim. That is vinyl that I bought at my dollar store. The Dollar Tree here, close to me in Green Bay, it has a whole aisle of craft stuff. And it seems like half that aisle is different varieties of peel and stick vinyl trim. So I saw this leopard print one day. I'm like, that would make neat trim sheet. So that's what I did. And this is the airplane I was covering when I discovered that one of my covering irons, I think it was a Coverite one, it has a built-in little bar on the top side. So you don't need to stand for it. You just turn it upside down when you put it on the table and it stays there. Huh. And as simple as that idea is, it was the most convenient, greatest time saver that I could think of.
See, none of mine have that.
So again, if you're listening, you need to go to facebook.com/RC Roundtable and go look at the post that he made.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it again, but I want to say the little loops in that wire are really well done. So it doesn't look like a home job. So maybe at some point, some company offered this little metal thing, but it's genius. I wish I'd thought of it.
Oh, you think it's aftermarket then?
I think so. I'll take another look at it after this. It's on the other side of the room, but
I'm going to add that on our Instagram page, Terry uploaded both the photo of the iron plus his flight video of the Electrostreak. So if you're not a Facebook person, definitely go look at our channel on Instagram.
You think are there people who don't do Facebook but will do Instagram?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Even though you have to have the same account, right?
Yeah, if you're one of those people. All right. Fitz.
Okay, well, you need to now add him as shorts to YouTube.
See, Adam, that's where I get lost. Do you want this as a video or a short? I don't know. What? Explain it to me. So,
there's so much.
Yeah. So I think Fitz put the Savage in Savage Bobber recently. Care to share that with us?
He put the in the Savage Bobber.
Yeah, you're referring to my video over on Hobby View. I finally finished the Savage Bobber review. It took me long enough to do it, but if you watch the video, you see why. So the Savage Bobber is from our buddy over at Legend Hobby. It's a 92-inch scale or semi-scale model of a real light sport aircraft made over in Europe somewhere, and it's called the Savage Bobber. It is notable for having no fuselage. It's just a framework, kind of reminiscent of a Boleriot or something like that, but it's got regular cub wings and that kind of stuff. And so, every time I bring it out to the field, people really gravitate toward it because it's such a unique and unusual looking aircraft. But however, during the flight, as you can see there, I kind of got in trouble with it. So it was flying it around, and I said, hey, let me do a snap roll. Well, it did a nice snap roll, and then it migrated into a flat spin, and it didn't come out. Or it came out just a fraction before it hit the ground. And that was interesting. So here's a review playing. I'm in the middle of a review videoing it, and I crashed it. And so much of the video is me taking it back to the workshop and repairing it. And so I went through my whole process of fixing it up. I ended up fixing as much as I could. I had to get a few new parts for it, but I ended up fixing more than I thought I would, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would when I first got it.
Look at the good job you did on fixing the cowl.
Yeah, the cowl came out really nice.
And even though
I took some shortcuts on it. And so it seems like I got a lot of people appreciating. There's my bad taxi there. Almost taking out the cones. It actually did get caught. Yeah, I got caught in a bad downwind, and so the rudder just stopped working. And I also tweaked some stuff on the rudder. Yeah, and it was sort of a comedy of errors because, I'd go out one time and the engine would give me problems. I go out again and I ground looped it and broke the landing gear. And then I go out again. God, this thing is just doesn't like me. And the funny thing is, I had floated a bunch of times before I went into the death spin.
I was with you when it's made.
Yeah, we flew it a bunch of times. I flew it in the field and stuff, and it actually did some aerobatics. Yep, boom.
So my memory may be bad, but did you crash it before?
No.
I think of a different airplane. Okay, maybe.
No, I crashed another airplane, but that was a different one, while ago, a couple years ago.
Okay.
So I ended up, persisting with it and finally getting a good flight out of it. And I made some tweaks. After the crash, I started thinking, it shouldn't have, I was wondering why it went into a spin so easily when I wasn't even trying to spin it. So I made some tweaks.
You added more weight too, right?
Yeah, I added some more nose weight because I thought, based on how it was flying, doing some other maneuvers, it seemed like the CG was probably a little bit further back than it should have. So I added some more nose weight, added some exponential in the ailerons, and that seems to have made a little bit of a difference. It's probably still a model you don't want to spin or throw around too much, but the Ford CG seemed to really settle it down quite nicely. This landing came out really nice. It just went, So I think it's a nice plane. It's just one of those ones you really can't throw around like you do some other planes. You really just got to fly it on a wing, fly it like the real one is. Just nice. You can do touch and goes and maybe a loop here or there and that kind of stuff. But and just kind of admire it and zip it around, and it's fine.
Oh wait, hold on. I gotta.
Oh, you got your hand raised, Terry?
Yeah, I have a question for you when you're ready.
Yeah.
When Lee's done with his part.
Sure. And it's a neat plane, and you saw I put a pilot figure in there. And if you guys
hold on, that's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
Yes, this is a podcast. Be quiet.
Stop, don't interrupt me. I'm fast forwarding.
You smell that?
All right, now you can say.
Okay, so it's such a sinister looking plane. I put in a Darth Vader figure with a cape.
Now, why did you go with the black cable tie? That's all. That was what really just made me.
Oh, okay.
cringe.
So my original intention was to go with a black cable tie, but I didn't have one long enough, and I wasn't in the mood to go out and find and muck with one. So I just put that in more or less temporarily until I go find some long ones. I had some black ones, but they weren't long enough. So I said,
and what's with this Federation hoodie?
Oh, I've had that hoodie for a long time. He's talking about my hoodie that I'm wearing. It's actually a Star Trek The Next Generation based hoodie. And what's funny is I used to... What's that?
You probably worn it around me lots of times, and it just never dawned on me until I saw the bottom with the angle, the little triangle. That this is a Federation hoodie.
It is. I got it a long time ago from ThinkGeek, and it's been really, really quite nice. It's got pockets and a hoodie. I did. I took it off to wash it and put it back on, but I actually have a little communicator-looking thing.
And were you going to make yourself a captain? Or just make yourself an ensign?
No. Commander. How about that?
Okay. All right, nerds, come on, come back.
So watch the video. You see my Starfleet jacket. So, anyways, this is powered by a 35cc Stinger engine, and which is adequate, not overpowered, but scale-like flying with it, or a little bit better in scale. But it's been quite an adventure getting this thing out because I did a build video of it some time ago, and people kept asking me, "So where's the Savage Bomber video?" Like, yeah. It's coming.
Can I ask my question now?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think you're very astute at troubleshooting airplanes, and so I wonder if just watching that weird flat spin, there's something weird going on there aerodynamically. Do you think it lacks lateral stability because the rear of the fuselage isn't covered?
So you hit on a thing that I also thought. If it were me and I were building that plane, I would have cheated on the rudder and enlarged it a little bit. I think it is. I think it's stable enough, but it's if you get into a gyration, I think it's just the rudder maybe a little bit too, or the whole vertical fin assembly maybe just a little on the small side for scale. So yeah, I think maybe the air is being disrupted a little bit by the metal framework at maybe a higher alpha angle of attack.
So it's turbulent coming over.
Yeah. So if you get up to a situation where the nose is pitched up and a slow speed with the engine running, it gets turbulent air, and I think that's what's doing it.
It would be interesting to try some add-on vertical stabs, like you would if you had floats or something.
Right.
Could just tape on or something to do some testing with.
So in fact, at one point, I think they put a scale size rudder on it, and I think it was one of those cases. I think the same, if I remember correctly, the RC models with the DC-3 have the same issue where the scale size rudder is a little on the small side when you scale it down, because as you know, in aerodynamics, you can scale down the model, but you can't scale down the molecules. So you get into some weird issues, and so I think that's probably what's going on. So long as you're flying it in normal attitudes, you're fine. But when you start getting into you start pushing the envelope at weird angles of attacks and skews, it gets funky.
Yeah, so you got my brain turning here, just the different ways you could play with that to see.
Yeah.
That would be fun to do, so.
It'd be interesting to hear if anybody listening who is an aerodynamicist, one of them aerospace engineer types, can chime in, see if we're totally out in left field, or you think we're on to something.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you.
I'll throw out one of those ideas here that you can try. I wonder if putting a ventral fin on it So if what you're talking about, where the air coming through the fuselage gets turbulent, if there's one on the bottom that's still in the clean air, so it would add to the area. And I don't know. Well,
you know what might work?
On that.
Something similar, but instead of a ventral fin, clear sheet on the side of the fuselage, just in the rear section. So it acts sort of like a vertical fin, but it's invisible, if that makes any sense.
Right. But they wouldn't be parallel, right? Because it tapers to the tail?
Yeah, they taper slightly, but it'd be something there and maybe something in the middle so the air doesn't get jammed up in the middle. But just box it in a little bit with some clear, thick, what do you call it? Something not too thick, but something clear, Lexan or something, plexiglass, Lexan, something like that. So that it looks invisible, but it actually covers in the side a little bit, so it acts as basically a ventral fin of sorts.
Yeah, side area.
Might be work. And, and I've been mulling over is that, maybe I should experiment with it a little bit, although it's kind of risky.
Terry, you got some extra leopard skin vinyl to send to?
There you go.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah.
Well, you've done the video now, so everything after this is bonus. So,
that's true. So yeah, so I may play around with it and I might try something really, really high to give me time. And I also thought about maybe my technique of getting it out of spin may have been slightly flawed too. And so it could be that until it came out of the spin a second before it hit, but also what I did is a second or two before it hit, I had cut the throttle, and I think that also helped. So if you're flying, I meant to talk about this in the video, but I forgot. But I think if you do get into a spin for this plane, it might be better to cut the throttle, down elevator, neutralize everything, and see if it comes out of it naturally.
Yeah, it's probably deceiving because it looks so much like a Cub. You want to treat it like a Cub, which the Cub's going to come out of a spin. It's going to fight you to go into the spin. So.
Yes, yeah. So, but that's been quite an adventure, and and I think, and it's been several other people that have had similar incidences. I saw a video from another YouTuber had one, electric one of all things, and it also kind of went into a weird spin, but it went to the right, which was odd. He kind of pulled up and hit full throttle. It may have been an over torque thing, and it kind of spun over to to the right. It shouldn't do it that easily because you've got the P factor to help you straighten it out, but because he wasn't very high when he did it, kind of spun it to the ground. And I said, well, that's interesting. That's very odd. So I think it's a fine plane as long as you just be really easy with it and not try to 3D it and that kind of don't get too aggressive with it, and you're fine.
All right, cool. Well, speaking of Cub-like airplanes, Lee.
Oh.
And the last episode, you talked about selling off all those big high wingers you bought.
I did. This breaking news. A friend of mine, Tim Ott, who purchased the Champ that I had talked about that I picked up at an estate sale at the swap meet, the one I was at with Fitz. And he bought it because I think his dad had crashed his Champ just a day or two before. And that son of a gun has already put it together, and I think I can pull this up real quick. So let me see if I can grab the screen. There we go. So this is the Bud Nosen Champ.
I forgot which one this was. Is this the one that had the weird attachment for the wings, or was
no? This one was really nice. Nothing. This is the one I wanted to keep. I said to myself, if I don't sell it, I will keep this one. I'll sell the other two. Try to get enough money to buy the engine for this. And I don't think it had ever flown. And long story short, I think I can show you this video. Let me see if I can switch this too. Here we go. I'm going to bring the volume down. So here's him landing it. So he's already got the sucker in the air. He said it needs a little bit of tweaking. He does think there's a wing warp because he had to push a lot of trim to keep it from rolling. But that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Did it come with an engine, or did he put his own in there?
No, he put his own engine in there. And it didn't have electronics, so he put his servos and everything. And I mentioned, Terry, that this had an inner push rod from the ailerons to the center.
Oh, right.
And I mentioned, I don't think the plane had ever flown because it didn't look like they'd ever been connected. Well, he did what I would have done. He yanked it out and he put in wing servos and then just ran the lines through, I guess, the former push rod holes.
Yeah.
And he thanked me, and he said he thinks his dad will like it, and that just makes me feel good. So I was just the middleman to find it from one home to another. And I think, I look forward to seeing it in person. I think they have a large Cubs and Cousin coming up was it Arca?
Oh, really?
It's
Arca. Okay.
in Austin. Yeah.
Oh.
That's coming up.
Oh.
So he'll probably take it there. I don't know if I'm not sure. I got to check the dates. I don't have it handy, but it's a cool story. So sometimes you guys, you go out there, you want to buy planes, but maybe it's just, pick up stuff and see if you can find a better home for it. So I'm smiling. I don't feel bad at all. I'll find that large plane that I need in my hangar besides it's not in here, besides the yellow aircraft P-38.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, the Arca is April 15th, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, no, sorry, that's last year. Never mind.
Oh, I thought you had more to read there, Fitz.
I do. Hold on a second. Cubs and Cousins, April 12th and 13th for 2024.
Okay.
Well, Lee, keep on talking because you finally got a bucket list plane.
Oh, okay.
We did?
That's next.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. This is every time I went to a swap meet, Lee would say, look for this. See if they have one of these. And I never found one.
We mentioned this on the show, and sure enough, Fitz, Austin did not listen to the episode, but this was the story of the Icon A5 that I found at the swap meet, the UMX version. I had been looking for one. I had found one at an estate sale that was in really bad shape. I'm not sure if I sent you that photo, Terry. I was questioning myself whether I wanted to spend the $20, $30 for it and then spend another $30 or $40 to ship it to me. And so I just keep looking. And yes, Terry, thank you for always keeping an eye out for a UMX. But gosh darn it, this guy had one at the swap meet and it was in great shape. Austin, and it was such a good feeling, guys. It was like exactly what I was hoping for. He gets home, we give him hugs because he just got back from college. He goes upstairs, we're all sitting in the kitchen. From upstairs, you hear he goes, "Where did you find this?" He came downstairs and gave me a hug. And so I actually have a little video here that I put on my on my Instagram channel. So can you see? Nope, that's not the right one. Remove that. Stand by.
Stand by for action.
Oh, there it is. There we go. Sorry, no screen. So there you go. There's the little sucker, and it flies great.
Does it? Huh?
Yeah. There's a little 2S 200/280 milliamp.
Has he done any water takeoff with it yet?
We did. I don't have that footage, but I had also brought, when we went flying, I also brought my Twin Otter on floats. So he and I were having a blast over at the pond too. So it was a good day of flying. You can just look at the sky there, guys. It was just really, really nice. This is the kind of weather you pray for, best. And they're out there, folks. It's kind of like car lovers who love a good barn find. I'm one of those. I love seeing those shows, especially if you watch Haggerty or something on YouTube. This is one of those barn finds, and he was elated. And don't think he had any serious problems with it. There were a couple of quirks, and it's just very flimsy for what it is. Yeah. But he flew the crap out of it, and big smiles all around. So there you go. Nice. A success story. Try to hit his old man.
Did he take it back to school with him, or did it stay in Houston?
He kept it here.
Okay.
Look at that landing right at my feet. He's a pretty good pilot, folks. Pretty good pilot.
Yeah, do okay.
Well, congratulations.
With my stuff.
Yeah.
I was just happy to get him something he wanted.
Well, there's another item on here that just says batteries. I don't know what that refers to or who wants to talk about it.
Well, you had your plumbing PSA at the beginning of the show. My RC-related PSA is I guess I didn't realize how many batteries I have. Have you ever just taken every LiPo battery that you've found that's in your workshop and you just put them in one place?
Yes. Yes, it's my refrigerator.
Have you ever photographed that? Because I really want to see the stuff that you guys have. Because I'm sure it's to a variety of brands and ages. I mean, I'm not that crazy, but I do have some old batteries. But I decided, I don't know why, I just had a weird craving to balance my batteries, but just to check the condition of the battery. So I'm encouraging you to do so, because I did find a few batteries that had loose wires in the taps. So they had popped out. Guys, that's dangerous. I didn't realize, if two come out, man, you got to shoot yourselves a quick short. So I took the time to pull out my 4 chargers and balance all these batteries at one time. And it wasn't hard. I just had to set them all there and had my questionable batteries and completed batteries, and then set up different boxes for sizes. And I may have thrown away 2 or 3 batteries that just, they were puffed. And I went ahead and drained them and then charged them and see if they had enough capacity, around at least 20, no more than 20% loss, excuse me. And it was a good thing to do, because I don't know if anybody's had the LiPo fire or had an issue. You don't want to be flying with a questionable battery. I have had a LiPo fire due to a bad charging setup. And it was just, I don't want to lose the batteries. And with the prices these days, you can't afford to just keep buying batteries left and right. You got to take care of what you got. So consider that. Go through your batteries, storage charge them. And this is the next question I had for you guys. I have 2 different chargers. They both have different storage voltages. Do you happen to know what you consider as a storage volt?
3.85 is what I've always heard.
Fitz?
I understand it's actually can be a bit of a range. 3.85 is usually what it is, but you have some leeway. It doesn't have to be exactly 3.85. You can do 3.8, 3.75.
Yeah, and that was just
roughly 50%.
It's because the books I read said between 3.7 and 3.9. So 3.8 and 3.85 were near there. So 2 of my chargers were 3.8, and the other charger, the big charger, was 3.85. And I just let them be. I just kept them whatever the charger wanted it to be. But just something for you guys to remember, that when you're looking at a battery, if it's still at 3.9 or so forth after you've done flying, go ahead and bring it down to 3.8. If it's 3.4, you may want to bump it up if you're not going to be flying anytime soon. But that was the only little RC story I wanted to share about not building, but balancing batteries.
Well, you just reminded me of something I should add, because I have a bunch of the smart batteries from the Spectrum smart batteries, which are pretty nice, but they have the built-in circuitry to self-balance and self-discharge and that kind of stuff.
Is that all of them?
No, well, the very small ones don't.
Well, did the first generation do that? For some reason, I was thinking it was just the G2.
Well, the first generation didn't have it by default. The circuitry was in there, but it wasn't enabled. So you had to hook them up to a programmer to turn it on, but it was there. It was just basically disactivated, unactivated, what do you want to call it? The G2s have it from the factory already activated. And so for one, the G2s, when you get one, you should immediately check that the voltage is within range, that it's good. And if you haven't used the battery for a while, you should go in and make sure you charge it up a little bit. I found that I think there's a little bit of parasitic drain because of the circuitry in there. And so if you've had one that's been sitting for a long time, I mean like 6 months, 9 months or something like that, for a long time, you might want to go and make sure and hook them up to your charger and double check that the voltage is still in range, that they haven't gone down a little too low. I've noticed for a few of them that if I haven't touched it in a while, like I said, after you get a bunch of batteries, sometimes you just haven't touched some in quite a while. And so at least once a year, I go through all my batteries and double check all the voltages to make sure they're all at storage level. There's been a couple that I found that were starting to get a little low. They may have been at 3.5 or something like that. It's 3.6. And so you stick them on a charger for a little bit and put up another storage charge in them. So, this is mainly for the smart batteries because it's a little extra. Normally LiPo doesn't discharge very fast at all. It's I think I was quoted 1% a month. No, not even that much, but it's very, very low. It's, you leave them sit for years, not a problem. But since these have the extra circuitry on them, just pay a little extra attention to them. If you don't use them, if you use them all the time, it's not a problem. But some people might buy a battery. I had a club member who bought a battery and just never touched it. One of those smart batteries, never touched it for a year or something like that. And so he said, and I told him about that. He said, "Oh, maybe I should check it." So he gave him the battery, and lo and behold, it was getting a bit low. And so I put a charge on it for him.
All right, good to know.
My PSA for tonight.
Yeah, I just recently got my first G2 smart battery, which you have to have a G2 charger for because it doesn't have balance taps. What?
You can
Fitz,
bulk
to
charge
the
them.
back. You have your hand raised. It's Walker.
So yeah, yes and no. So yes, the smart charger is the best way to charge them, definitely, and then helps balance charge them. But if you're in a pinch, you can bulk charge them. You can set your charger, at least my charger, and you have the same one too, Lee, the iCharger. Mm-hmm. You can set that to no balance. You just set the cutoff voltage, and you can charge them that way.
Okay.
So if you hit the field and you forgot your balance charger or something like that, or you didn't do it in a pinch, you can do that and it doesn't hurt them. It's as long as you've already had balance charge them a bunch of times. I wouldn't do it a long time, but if you're in a pinch, it's not a problem. I've done it a bunch of times now, no issues.
Yeah. All right, good to know. All right. Now, next I showed that we're going to talk about some upcoming events. I don't know what those events are, but I suspect you guys do.
Fitz did it. Orca.
Well, are we making a phone call here, or is that something we're doing offline?
No, that was offline.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, that was offline. So, but I thought we just mention the Toledo show. Was that
when is that coming up?
First weekend in April, right?
Yeah. Is it I want to say 4, but it's not. It's is it 6 and 7?
I wanted to say 5th and 6th, Friday and Saturday. Maybe, I don't know. Let's look it up.
I am. Right now. As fast as I can.
Not very fast.
April 5th and 6th, right, is Friday and Saturday.
Hurry up. Too
At
slow.
the Last City Center main floor. Somewhere in Ohio. Toledo.
So this was previously the regular Toledo show. Now it's more focused on swap meet, right? If I remember correctly, with
right, it's not a trade show anymore.
Vendors.
It's a swap.
Yeah,
that is correct.
It used to be
this is
the big people announced their new products for the year, but now it's mostly a trade show. Dubro is going to be there with a booth. So
yeah, I was going to say, and so this is not the first year they've done it. This is several years, 2 or 3 years. So it'd be interesting to know how it's been doing. If it's seen an improvement in attendance or something like that. Since
there's the handful of people who say, well, it wasn't Toledo like it was in 1992 where you couldn't move. There were so many people.
Nothing was like that.
Right. But what I've heard in general is that swap meet wise, this is a good, busy, active swap meet. So,
okay.
And I'm interested in going.
Yeah,
I can't go this year.
Oh yeah. How far is it from you?
Toledo, I want to say 6 hours. I'll have to look. It's a decent drive, but not out of the question.
Yeah.
You don't want to stay overnight. I'm looking this up.
I've done day trips with 6-hour drives.
Yeah.
It's a little long, but it's, like I said, it's, you want to stay overnight. It's easy. Oh, there we go. Nice. Good.
Closer
Toledo,
to 7 hours.
Swap meet and expo. Oh, interesting. Okay. So they are keeping the expo part as option open, but, definitely. Oh, they got a raffle. 92-inch AJ Raven.
Indoor flying.
Oh, indoor flying. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty snazzy. Yeah, you should go up there sometime, Terry.
Our buddies from RC Plane Lab will be there.
Oh, okay. Hopefully they'll have a report of some sort.
I'm sure they will. They went last year as well and had fun. That's why they're going back.
Yeah, I'd definitely go if I was in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get more information, you can go to ToledoRCSwapMeet.com.
Be nice if it turns into like Perry North or something.
Yeah, right. All right, Lee, AMA news. Tell me this is AMA good news.
It's good news.
All right. So you get to be the good news guy and the bad news guy. You're just the news guy.
I will just give some good news. The first off, today we have over 1,800 AMA clubs that have been signed either a FRIA or what is called a remote ID exemption authorization.
I want to comment on that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Gary.
So my club is changing fields, and we only recently submitted the free application for our new field, and that sucker went through in just a couple weeks. I was really pleasantly surprised.
Getting efficient.
And I know from reliable sources that Lee, you had some influence on that because you helped.
I had my fingers on it.
Yeah, you helped massage the mapping for it. But yeah, thanks to everybody at the AMA that works on that stuff, that's turning up the gears to make this happen.
So if you guys who are listening or watching, if you have been part of the process of a FRIA or a remote ID exemption authorization, I'll touch on that in a second, then you probably have spoken to one of 5 of us in the office that handle them. And Lucas is one of our main guys right now. That's pretty much his job now, is to take charge of FRIAs, while Ilona and her other staff focus on recharters for clubs. So Lucas and I are pretty active in processing the applications for these clubs. And it's hit or miss on FRIAs. You know, the good news is I've had this poor club since, gosh, I don't know when, February of last year, who have been struggling to get authorization because they fly off a runway at an airport, an active airport, but it's a very small private airport. And now we've switched them to this new process. And I feel hopeful because, and I'm going to knock on some wood here, the remote ID exemption authorizations that we have turned in so far have come back 100% approved.
Wow.
All right.
And for those of you who are curious a little further, the difference between that and a FRIA is that with a remote ID exemption, it only applies to that AMA club, its members and its guests. And I'm going to be pointing at Fitz in a second, and will not be on a FRIA, because this guy right here was one of the first remote ID exemptions I did, and it came back approved. The cooler part about it is that they fly in controlled airspace, so they have a letter of agreement with Ellington Airport nearby. And the amount of space that Ellington gave them to fly was like twice as much space than the FAA was willing to give them for a FRIA. So they now got back all the airspace that the airport provided to them. So the remote ID can give you a little step further. We are now taking it to the place where we could only use that remote ID exemption for clubs in controlled airspace. We're now able to use those clubs in uncontrolled airspace and in unique situations. So that's good. I think it's the FAA's way of saying, yeah, we hear you. We've been looking at these, and we need to help you get those clubs, free from remote ID, but we can't put them on the FRIA data map. So we're going to give you this option, and it's been working. So that's the good news. I'm very happy to report that. And I, for me, it's kind of like finishing a kit when you get to talk with a primary point of contact for a club, and they open their heart and say, please help us get a FRIA. We don't want to spend money on remote IDs. We freaking hate remote IDs. You've seen Terry's ID. And I understand completely. And we put everything together. We send it and we wait and we wait. It's an unfortunate long waiting game. And when they come back, approved, there's just a huge sigh of relief from all those club members, because they go back to flying the way they've been flying safely for 50 plus years. It's sad to see a club that's been around for 30 something years to be denied a FRIA because some person in the FAA office just doesn't get it. But we're turning things around. Very happy to announce that.
Now, what was the other tidbit about event authorizations?
So we now have another feature up our sleeves. Ta-da! If you need more altitude for an event, you sanction your event at your club, you submit a NOTAM for this event, the sanctioned event at your club, you can have an altitude increase from 700 to 1,200 feet, depending on in controlled airspace. Let me make that clear too. In controlled airspace.
Can't go to 12,000 feet?
We're working on it. we're working on that. But there's just another option that we've been able to work with the FAA to say, hey, we need some of our clubs fly jets, big events. We need them to have more altitude. And we're still fighting to just increase that lame 400 foot even higher. And hopefully just across the board for FRIAs, like start with FRIAs, since have already pretty much proven that they're safe. And then eventually, maybe change the Reauthorization Act to increase that a little bit more. I can't tell you. I'm not involved in those conversations, but we're pushing it.
All right, cool.
Speaking of NOTAMs, did Lee tell you, Terry, about the NOTAMs we're going to have here in Houston tomorrow?
He did. He responded.
Oh, yeah, Terry, yeah.
Instagram.
There's this big red dot over the city of Houston, folks, for some old man from DC. And as I said in my Facebook post, this old guy looking for ice cream is coming to. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's funny because you read the NOTAM. I think it was like it starts like one of the vortex like way up north, and it goes. And then I'm looking at this at the 150 radio down and 30 miles in diameter. And I was like, well, wait, what?
It's
look at the map.
There's two of them, so I don't know if he's landing in one airport and then leaving at another. But they have two NOTAMs or TFRs.
Or three, I think, actually.
Is it? Well, the inner one is even tighter. Like there's more restricted. Like you can't have your private aircraft fly in that airspace. So I measured it. It's 90 miles wide from the farthest distance for this old fart. So I'm just like. So for those of you who don't live in Houston, imagine having a NOTAM TFR that's the size of Connecticut. Yeah. They just shut down Connecticut. The entire state. Yeah, exactly. No kidding. And the neat thing is by the way, another little AMA note here. For those of you who haven't used this free service, I highly encourage you to do so. I do have it on my phone. It'd probably take me a while to pull it up. UAS Sidekick, or UA Sidekick, rather. It's an app that you can download for free. Go to modelaircraft.org, go into your profile, and then you can go to modelaircraft.org/UAS Sidekick. And with your login, you can create an account, and it's a free tool. It's a very helpful tool. And on the map, it'll show you all the AMA clubs wherever you are. So if you're visiting another state or something, or if you just want to see what other clubs are near you, it'll show you all the AMA logos.
Will it reflect the TFR?
Oh, the TFR? Yeah. Absolutely, because that's what I posted. That's why I pulled it up, because we received an email. I don't know if you checked your email, Fitz, but any AMA member who is within that TFR got an email from the AMA saying, hey, by the way, you have one coming. And it's just tomorrow. It's only for 4 hours during the day. Okay, for what it is. You're going to have some old farts flying anyway, but the whole point is it's just this massive. I'm using the data map. It's just huge. But I did point out.
Unusually large.
But I pointed out that Bobber Field is just outside. That's in Monteville, Texas. That's
Bobber Field is way out near Hicks.
And it's on the edge of the TFR. Okay, this is more of a funny conversation between the three of us, but I mean, that's just outrageously large.
It's good to know that if you're in Alaska, you're okay. You can fly.
So everybody in Houston knows he's coming.
We're on the verge of getting political here. But actually, I had no idea he was coming. To be honest, I had no idea he was coming in until I got the email about the TFR. It's like, why is there a TFR? Who the hell is coming? I saw Lee's post. Like,
none of my friends in Dallas said anything, because he's in Dallas. Well, he was in Dallas today. He'll be in. And by the way, this is all past tense, so he's long gone, folks. But anyway, the UA Sidekick, please consider going to the website and going to our site to go pull it up. I highly recommend. It's a free account, guys. Take advantage of it. Just having the AMA badges there is very, very helpful. Plus, but wait, there's more. You can also see events that are happening. So if I had just looked at the map before the show and we were going to announce things that were happening, you'll also see pins for events that are occurring within the next week or two, I think. So there you go.
So there's a little go back. So I got the email from the AMA. Was that because it knows where I am and where the field is, or was that part of the
our Fitz Walker?
See your papers, please.
Yes, I think it does it because of your relationship to a club that is within the TFR. So we pull the name of that club.
Okay, it was nice. I'm not complaining. I thought that was pretty neat because I would never known about it. And when I saw that, I posted on we have a GroupMe app that we have in our club, and so I posted it on there, and because a few club members apparently didn't know, either didn't get the email or just weren't aware. And so I made them aware, said, hey, this is a TFR because our club, we can't fly in the afternoon, but I know several club members fly at other fields during the day in the area. So I'm going to make sure it was help me make them aware that, hey, you 9 on the flying before 3:00. So,
right. So for those of you watching, this is the main page of UA Sidekick. It's simple, uasidekick.com. And again, if you go to modelaircraft.org, log into your account, and then go to modelaircraft.org/UA Sidekick, that'll take you to the AMA portal, I guess, back to UA Sidekick, and then you can create an account. So if you boys haven't done it yet, please do so.
I did. You talked me into it because I mentioned my club's new field up here. We were concerned about its proximity to the Green Bay airport. And so you pointed me to this app, and boy, we are right outside the fuzzy edge of that 5 mile radius. But that's the app that AMA and FAA uses to determine that. So we're like, yep, here's the screenshot. We know we're outside of it. And so all was good.
I gotta tell you, I processed a club the other day, and they are near a red zone. Cars may not park in the red zone.
I'll just stick it at.
But the red zone is is flat out. You can't fly near that airport. So I don't know how some these are like executive airports. I don't know how they get the right to do that, but this club is just like right on this side of the plane. And I had to put in big capital letters, this club is not flying in controlled airspace.
I feel like with a decent tailwind, I could hook a baseball into that 5 mile radius from my field. But we're clean, so and we're gonna.
Our club is similar. We're right up against a 5 mile radius from Ellington.
But man,
that's a third of the club is in that. Okay,
I know. I was just saying, but isn't that remote ID exemption awesome for you guys?
It is fantastic. Yes, I'm glad to know that we were the bleeding edge on that.
All the space now. And I think what's creative. What we talked about this and briefly is that because of your exemption and because of the wording they have in it, the FAA says, only members and its guests. Well, NASA you have to be on a guest list to get there. So you're going to fly there. You have to be on a list. You're in, man. You're in Lake Flynn. Don't bring your remote ID module. Not necessary. In fact, I think we talked about this. NASA doesn't want anybody broadcasting a remote ID module there. So.
Yeah, they don't want dirty air.
Do not. You mentioned that. We actually had, we shared a field with the Rocket Club. Mm-hmm. And so the other weekend, we were just happily flying around, and I see suddenly two of the NASA police cars drive up pretty fast, like, what's going on here? And they pull up and they stop right at our club. So I walk over and, I say, what's going on? He goes, you guys flying any drones? I'm like, no, we know not to fly any drones. And he goes, it must be the rocket guys. And lo and behold, it was a kid brought his drone over there to fly around watching the rockets, and they've got the drone sniffer, and they were not amused.
It's like, who's flying a drone?
The NASA 5.0 came over. My
God.
Awesome. They were two cars, and they were running up pretty quickly. There was who's got the drone?
It's kind of hard to explain the layout, but for those who aren't familiar with this field, it's a long asphalt and concrete pad that much longer than it is wide. And the rocket guys are down at the other end. So anybody going to do rockets has to go through the RC airplane part. And I remember days when the rocket people were having some sort of event. They would draw huge crowds. But we would
put a pretty good crowd.
All sorts of stuff to direct the traffic behind our flight line. But invariably, we'd be there flying. There'd be a car just driving down our runway. Yep.
It still happens.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had to wave some people off, and we had somebody that was just looking to get a ticket the other day from the Rocket Club. It was, I won't get too descriptive, but it was a younger person driving, and apparently they thought it was a racetrack because they were hauling. And at one point, they caught a little bit of air because they went over one of the little potholes we had that we were working on filling. Really? And it was like, what the God? I didn't have any time to wave at this person and tell them to slow down, but
really?
Teenagers.
Yeah. Mind your manners in there.
Yeah.
You're off the guest list.
It was a Rocket Club person. Yeah, hopefully you can talk to them and say, hey,
It's privileged access.
Because, it is privilege. They will give you a speeding ticket if they catch you.
Yep. For sure.
So anyways, but I just want to let you know, the NASA has drone detectors on there. So if you try to fly one there over government property, they will not be amused.
Right. Yeah, I saw a thing on one of the Facebook forums today that talks about the legal aspect of drones and stuff like that. And a guy who's a 107 pilot talked about he was in Vegas and he did all his paperwork, got all his approvals, talked with the tower, and he was doing some sort of job. I think it was near the Vegas Strip. There also happens to be some sort of, I think it's an energy facility close by, which is, very sensitive. So he flew one day, never had any issues, flew in the same place the next day, and then right after he took off, boom, there's all sorts of cars with all sorts of dudes in black suits who come out and talk to him. He showed them paperwork, and they were all pretty satisfied. And then the next day, I guess he had some cards from those people who came that second day. And on the third day, he called them before he flew, and so nobody came out. But apparently, all the authorizations that he did with the FAA and the tower and all that, they don't talk to any of the other government people who might also be interested. So there's still a little bit of a gap here in this approval process and the people who care to know what you're doing.
But I would get a vest that says, I already filed my papers.
Yeah. That'll make the black Suburban turn around. But,
actually, my friend Raymond has a vest that says FAA licensed drone pilot or something on the back of it, and please do not disturb kind of thing,
Yeah. So it's interesting that the men in black who weren't aware of all the authorizations had some sort of mechanism to track this guy. They knew when he was flying, but they probably knew when he was flying the day before. Why didn't they come out then? And so anyway,
heard about
I guess it's all everybody's learning.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Although, have you heard about the new and fun thing some people are doing with drones? Apparently, people of ill repute are using them to case neighborhoods, high-end neighborhoods, to see which ones they can relieve them of their goods and property. They're being very sophisticated about it. Apparently, they have like Wi-Fi blockers or jammers as well for Wi-Fi cameras and that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some not so nice people doing some weird stuff. But anyways, that was
that's a bummer. I'm glad I'm not rich enough to have these people looking for my stuff. I'm probably on the list that says avoid this house.
Avoid this house, nothing here. We're just poor little piggies.
All right. Well, let's turn things back to the happy side. And
what do we got?
I got a new airplane. So in the last show, when I wasn't there, you guys were praising our buddy Nathan Evans because he was the conduit for you getting that forward swept wing plane, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So he, from half a country away, he helped facilitate me getting a new plane. He sent me a link to I think it was an auction, but it was a Goodwill site. So it was a Goodwill in Georgia that had something that they were auctioning. Yep, he sent me the link to it, and I got it. Got it for a good price. Like
what about shipping?
The shipping was a little bit steep, but overall it wasn't bad. I ended up paying what I would have gladly paid at a swap meet here, so not bad. And it checks all the boxes that I look for. It's unique, it's hard to find, and it's old.
Is it made by Kyosho?
Nope, but it picked our top 3 old manufacturers. And this would be one that I think you're more interested in, Fitz.
I mean, what are you, Kyosho, Royal?
No, come on.
Not Goldberg?
Great Plains?
No. They make little engines.
Cox?
Yes. Okay.
Where'd you get a Cox? Whoop.
And here it is. It's a Cox.
Oh, Boomerang. Is that the EDF?
Yeah, it has
EDF,
a little EDF. It's a 2-channel airplane. So it's got the EDF, which I guess has an upward angle so you climb under power, and then it's got a rudder.
Oh, okay. Just a rudder and
Yep.
Yeah, it's a weird looking flying wing thing.
Yeah.
Just a rudder and okay.
Yeah, anyway, I've seen them around and I've seen pictures of them. I remember looking at them in the tower catalog and other things, but I had to buy it. I think it'll be neat and fun to convert to a modern power system. So you were asking about the shipping.
Success.
I was really surprised. It came in a box that looked custom made for this model, and it was super well done. It was packed great. So this box was inside of that box. It looked like it was perfect. However, inside this is one of those models that came with a transmitter. It's got a built-in radio system. And the transmitter was not secured inside this box. So that thing was just flopping around all the way from Georgia to Green Bay. The damage is pretty marginal, and what is there is repairable. But I'm like, man, you took forever to make this box so nice, and all you had to do was secure that transmitter inside here. But whatever, I'm not going to break it. Goodwill. Anyway, if you want, I can open the box real quick, give you a peek at it.
Real quick, you're
it's one piece. I have now secured the transmitter in the box. So they're little plastic transmitter. Here's the airplane.
So it's new in the box, looks like.
Yeah, it's never flown. You see the charger that's in there too?
Oh, yeah. So I guess they use NiCad batteries?
Yeah, I think it was a 5-cell. So a 5-cell looks like AA size. And here's the rudder.
2-cell LiPo.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to replace the fan or just use what's in there.
So are you going to try to fly it as stock, just thrust and rudder, or are you going to add elevons to it or something?
Well, I mean, I can still set it up with elevons and just not use them to test that, right? So I don't see me building it without elevons, but I may fly it without touching that stick. We'll see.
Okay, good to have them back.
Because if I just use the left stick, that's throttle and rudder, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know when I'll get to it, but it looks like it'll be fun and pretty simple to do. So there's that fun new project put on the shelf with all the other fun new projects.
Your shipping store reminded me of one of the forums I frequent deals with vintage computers. And some guy mail ordered, I guess off of eBay or something, a vintage CRT monitor. And it was packaged so bad and beat up so bad that not only was the outer case just shattered, but the actual CRT tube was imploded when he got it.
Wow.
Yeah, he said it was a useless back.
Yeah,
they're heavy.
I had a View Sonic, like 23-inch monitor, and it weighed 50 pounds.
Well, this was a little smaller, probably like a 13-inch or something like that. But yeah, it was useless when he got it. It was just rubble.
Wow. I remember when I was in college, I worked at a Best Buy there. It's probably still there across from the Speedway in Daytona. And at the time, like 35-inch CRT TVs were the big thing. And we had them up on the super tall shelf. So when somebody wanted those, you'd have to climb up this metal ladder and then somehow grab this big-ass TV and 75-something pounds and then carry it down a ladder. I don't know how I didn't destroy my back and fall and break my neck, but we used to do it all the time.
Interesting. I kind of had a job offer to work there, but I did not end up doing it. We probably would have ran into each other.
Too good for Best Buy.
Yeah, well, I think I was busy. I think it was like my last year, and I was busy doing stuff, or I didn't need the money as much as the earlier years, or something like that. Because I worked at Radio Shack most of the time I was there. What was that?
You could have sold. You could have sold 486s or Pentium 90s.
Well, ironically, it would have been in the computer repair section, computer whatever service section.
Yeah,
a friend of mine worked there and said, "Hey, we got it open if you want." And kind of was interested. I was like, no, I don't have time for that.
Yeah,
anyways,
I worked in the audio section, but invariably,
cool.
Yeah. I had to walk through the TV section. I'd go to the counter to help somebody with a sale, and I'd walk back to the audio section. Had to walk through the TV section. Invariably, I'd get stopped. Hey, I need one of these. So, anyway, enough about that.
That's cool. So, yeah, give us do you think you might get to it sometime soon, or is it going to be?
I don't know. I need to make a priority
project.
I have so many of these things, but I'll let you know.
Might make a neat article for the AMA magazine.
It could, yeah.
Or part of a thing. Just like reviving old, old aircraft with modern equipment or something like that. Anyways, I'm not going to tell you your job, but
here's how I fixed up this airplane that doesn't exist anymore and you can't find. So
yeah, exactly.
Right. So I've got one more story, and then I think the rest of the show is going to be all you, Fitz. But I'm in my basement, and like many basements, it's got pipes and valves, and you can hear water running above me. I'm just below the kitchen, so you always hear the sink.
So that's what that was.
Yeah. But over here to my right, there's a valve, and that valve controls the flow to a spigot, which is outside on the wall right there. And in the winter, before the first freeze, I'll turn off that valve so that the spigot doesn't freeze. There's one on the other side of the house where I do the same thing. So last week it was pretty warm here. I was going to wash my car. I turned this valve. Everything was fine. I go outside. I attach the hose. I turn on the outside valve, and I rinse off the car. And luckily, I don't know who was smiling on me from the heavens that day, but luckily, I had not filled the bucket with soap and water yet. So I stopped, had to come inside to get the soap to put in the bucket, and the hose is on the ground. I'm like, I still hear water running. Why do I hear water running? And then I'm like, and I sprinted down to the basement, and I walk into my basement, and where I'm sitting now, it was like a spray of water coming out of, not out of the valve, but out of the wall right behind it. So what had happened was, I closed off this valve in the winter that shut the supply to it, but I didn't drain that section of pipe between this valve and the outside valve. So when we had those sub-zero freezes or at some point during the winter, that outside valve froze. And so when I turned on the outside one where the thing had ruptured, it just back sprayed into all this. So because it had only been 5 minutes, however long it took me to rinse off the car before I figured it out, the damage was pretty marginal. Some airplanes got wet. My box of balsa was right there. I mean, I was 30 seconds away from it ruining all of my balsa, which...
That's $7,000 right there.
Yeah, right? So I mean, I had it run for the time it would have taken me to wash the whole car. It would have been pretty significant. But I've got a rug down here below me. That got wet, but the rest of it was just a matter of wiping things down and moving stuff out of the way. I managed it, and it was fine. And then my buddy came over the next day. He knew how to fix all that stuff, and so I say we fixed that. He fixed it, and I watched. It was like when I helped my dad fix the car when I was a kid. I handed him tools and snacks.
And he yells
at the flashlight.
The light level.
So thank you, Aaron, for helping with that. I think I'm equipped mentally to do it next time. We'll see. But anyway, I just can't escape thinking what a bullet I dodged with that. How much of my stuff would have been destroyed with that. And I'm already a little bit leery about leaks in the basement because in my Buffalo house, we had a couple incidents with an overflowing sink where it had ruined some carpet and stuff like that. So I'm always just a little bit on edge about basement flooding. And right next to this, I mean, we've got a sump pump here, and we have the things in place to avoid that, but still, it's just always in the back of my mind to be leery of water in the basement. So now I'm extra skittish about it. So I'm glad it turned out the way it did, and I feel like I can do a better job of shutting things off next year. I'm going to leave the outside valve open, so when it does freeze, hopefully that'll prevent any more damaged valves. The other side of the house was fine, knocking on wood. So if any of you other Northerners have tips for me on how to prevent destroyed spigots, let me know. I'm all ears. But I think I've got it under control for now. And is there any other... I think that probably captures all of it. So anyway, it was an exciting moment, and you should have seen me. It was like watching a film and fast forward. I was running around the shop picking up the things that were about to move them around and putting everything up on the ground. Whoa. Yeah. So, yeah. Bullet dodged. Close call. That's my story. And Fitz, you've got 2 airplanes behind you that you must talk about.
I do. Just real quick, it seems like we all got new airplanes. Well, actually, the first one I'll talk about is you don't even see it here. This is something I got recently. It's something I hopefully will get to shortly. This is a 3D printed aircraft from the Craycle. It's a flying wing thing. And which is interesting is it came pre-printed. You can buy it as, I guess, sort of a ARF kind of thing from them. And so it came in a nice box, and all the parts are printed out, and you can get it as a almost, what do you call it? Almost like a plug and play, because you can get it with a motor and speed controller and stuff. And this is the top part, because in the front here is you can put a camera. So it's actually an FPV rated little flying wing thing. And it's just kind of neat that they say if you don't have a 3D printer, they can just, make one for you and fly it out. So I thought that might be kind of neat. You guys might think that's kind of interesting. Also new.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think that is a copy of a foam airplane.
It does look a bit like the what do they call those? What is it called? You're right. Was it Flight Test that had something like this, or?
No, I thought it was. I used to have something similar to Zeo HD. I don't remember.
There was a plane a little bit like this. They had what was it called?
Yeah, what's this? Zeo HD FPV. Yeah, here it is right here.
You got it?
What's it called? Planes. Is it the Dart? Let's see. Yeah. The Dart is forward swept. The Dart XL Extreme.
Not.
Or the Dart 250? I don't know. It looks like...
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take away the thunder, but it looks like it's based on...
I could see if it was inspired by it, sure.
Yeah. Okay. And who makes this one?
It's a company called Craycle, Craycle, something like that. They're out of Europe somewhere.
Oh.
And they have a whole series of aircraft. I've built some of the other ones that were pretty neat. So I've had a dialogue with the owner. And he said, hey, we've got one that's ready to fly. Yeah, I have a 3D printer, but he said, hey, well, this is interesting because it's already printed for you. And they did a good job. Whoever their printer settings is quite good. So if you're interested in a 3D printed plane, but don't have a 3D printer, this might be something up your alley. It's interesting that they decided that it's PLA, as best I can tell.
Standard ball.
I think there's some nylon somewhere. The motor mount looks, I think, is a different material. You can't really see it. There's a little yellow piece. But for the most part, it looks like just regular PLA or PLA plus. So, and you can get the files for this. You can buy the files from them and print it out yourself. Well, they just thought they'd try an ARF version. So it's an interesting market experiment to see if that's. So at some point, I'll have that. I'll try to fly it and have it on my channel.
You guys will be happy to know that I've been doing a lot of 3D printing lately, and
really?
My buddy up here got me turned on to a program called Onshape, which is a web-based 3D CAD program. Yeah, so I've been messing around with that and drawn up some stuff that I've needed for a while and printing on my Ender 3 Pro. And I recently just started experimenting with PETG. And it's working out well. And my first print, I had the fan too high, so my layer adhesion was horrible. So I just turned the fan down, and after that, it's been good.
Yeah, I understand. The PETG needs a hotter heat bed. Did you turn 50 degrees or something like that?
I'm running the extruder at 240 and the bed at 70 C.
Yeah, that sounds about
and then
right.
turn the fan down to 40%.
How's that?
Yeah, overcooling.
Look at the screen.
That's something different. Flight Club Awards?
Pull yours up.
Yeah, the flight test one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Flurkin.
That's it, Flurkin. That's what I was thinking of.
Like Flurkin. Yeah.
It's definitely Flurkin inspired or Flurkin.
Flurkin-ish.
Adjacent. Flurkin-ish. Flurkin. A couple of things popped up on my workbench for, I thought you guys might be finding interesting. That will be future review stuff. So this is called the Magic Bird. It's a 46-inch electric. It's, I guess, EF1 racer legal, although I think also it's just a sport plane. But what's interesting about it is this is an all-wood ARF, but it comes basically plug and play. So you don't have to install servos. The motor's already installed. Servos are installed. Everything is supposed to be a quick build. This is Seagull models coming out of Legend Hobby. And so I think this is a new thing for them because I don't remember seeing this before. And just recently just found out about it. So If you're looking for, it's neat because it's got basically those Quickie 500-ish lines to it with a little bit of fancier cowl. And I don't know if there's anybody racing these in my area, but it should be at least a nice, fun sport plane to zip around in. Simple 4-channel, no retracts, speedy, good size, that kind of stuff. So,
do you know if the power system is race legal?
That's a good question. I think I started looking that up, and I don't. The rules are kind of weird to hunt down, and from what I saw, the power system may be a little bit derated for racing. From look at the motor KVs, I think it's got a little bit lower KV than what some of the motors they were recommending. But I'm still doing some research. That was just doing a quick search because I was curious too. Is that if everything else is legal, is the motor system legal? And a quick look seems like it is, but not quite. You may not have as much power as some of the other ones do. So that is something I will answer much more detail later as I do the review.
What battery?
I don't remember. What does it say? Because it comes with a prop, comes with a battery, 40 size. It doesn't say. I honestly don't remember.
You say it comes with a battery?
No, it doesn't come with a battery. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It comes with a prop, comes with a motor, speed controller. Doesn't say. I think they use. I don't know. That's a good question. This is new to me, so I honestly don't remember. I haven't really even opened a box. I just sort of looked up online a little bit, and I completely forgot what they use for batteries. I don't want to guess. Anyways, so we'll probably put a link to that in also on when the episode goes live. Also, I got the new FMS F86.
Ooh, we talked about that.
We did. And lo and behold, I have one. I haven't flown it yet. I just put it together last night, and it's pretty nice. You're
supposed to be working on your Bearcat.
I did work on a Bearcat. Was it last weekend? Weekend before? I've been working on it a little bit, but I needed to put this together real quick, and then now the table is clear, so I can work on a Bearcat.
Good.
What's neat about this one is it has they're closed, but it has working air brakes on the side that pop out, and it's got a bunch of lights on it, and it seems to be pretty nice. We'll see how it flies. Hopefully, maybe this weekend. But it's a really snazzy looking plane. You can't see it, but it's got a really interesting surface texture on it. You really can't see the foam cells, but it's sort of think really, really, really fine sandpaper. It's really micro. The surface is just interesting. The camera doesn't do it justice, but it's different than any of the other foamies I've had. So I don't know if it's the paint they used or what. But that's pretty neat.
Do the decals seem to stick to it okay and conform to it? So
far, yeah, they seem to be sticking okay. We'll see how that works.
Right.
But also, one last thing is they did an interesting job on the canopy inside the cockpit. Instead of the foam entire cockpit, it looks all vacuum formed with a little bit of weathering and some pretty nice details behind the seat and behind it.
Nice.
I don't know if you can, the dashboard control panel, whatever you want to call it, is sort of basic, but they're going in the right direction with really dressing up the interior of the cockpit. So look for that on my channel at some point in the not too distant future.
So you haven't flown it yet?
I have not. I just finished putting it together last night.
You were going to make it tomorrow, but darn it.
Yeah, TFR. Darn it. That's a TFR.
Does it have cheater holes?
It does. That's the other interesting thing about it. They went really liberal on the cheater holes. So there's two sections of cheater holes on the bottom, and there's additional cheater holes on the side, as you can see here, as well on both sides. They're smaller, but they really I guess needed to get some air because the front the nose is small. Now it is open; it goes through into the fan, but it's very restricted because of the gear and everything else.
Turbos, receiver, and stuff in there. Yeah, there's no.
Yeah, it's so super restrictive. So they went crazy on the cheater holes, So we'll see. And I don't know what else. The one thing that was weird is it came from the factory with a wire harness that linked the air brakes to the flaps. When you drop the flaps, the air brakes popped out. I thought, well, that's interesting. So I actually split them up so they're in separate channels. And they got some heft to it too. Be interesting to see how it flies. It's not a featherweight,
Right.
but it looks
So
good. They did, I think, good job.
What battery for
What's that? 6S. They say 4 to 5,000, 5,500. I'm not sure. The 4,000 I put in there didn't seem like it balanced with it. So I'm going to first flight's going to be with a 5,000 or 5,500.
A 6S 5000?
I'm sorry.
A 6S 5000?
Yeah.
Whew.
That's what's in there now.
That's what I put in the P51. That thing is small, man.
Hey,
Wow.
that's what they
It's a pretty
said.
big
6. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Does it have a built-in stabilizer?
No, I did not see any stabilizers in it.
Okay, so it's just
Stabilizer free.
Yeah, cool.
Oleo struts. Seems pretty nice. I look forward to flying it.
Cool.
And that's it for me. That's real quick. I thought
All
you
right.
guys might find it interesting.
Well, guys, we made a list before we started the show of all the things we wanted to talk about. And we said, or at least I said, wow, that's a lot of stuff. We're not going to get through all that. Guess what? We got through all of
We
it.
did? All right.
Yeah.
At an hour and 45 minutes.
Well, okay. We've done much longer shows than that. So, all right, that's cool. But speaking of upcoming events, there's a swap meet at the Hobby Town in Oshkosh, which is an hour south of me, this Saturday. I'm planning to go to that. I suspect it'll be mostly car stuff, but I'll go there and check it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been kind of into car stuff lately, so
I'm going to say, you're kind of a car guy anyway, so.
yeah, more than
wrong.
I should be lately.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll check it out. Maybe I'll find some new toys. And,
It was funny. I had a visit for somebody I haven't seen in a very long time. And we both have been at RC for a long time. And so he was like, well, we were comparing stuff. He's more of a car guy, more of an airplane guy. So they were joking that, there may be, may be saturated with airplanes, but apparently he's saturated with cars. So
yeah,
it goes both ways.
it's a good kind of saturation.
Yeah. Keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can put a bow on this one and call it done.
Okay, doke.
Sounds good.
So Fitz, do your thing.
My thing is, I don't know. See ya.
Jazz hands.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us for this maybe slightly longer episode of the RC Roundtable. As always, you feel free to send us a note at contact@rcroundtable.com. If you have any suggestions, anything you want to talk to us about, we'd love to hear from you. Yeah. What's that?
Stories? That,
stories.
You want to share with us?
Tell us
rumors.
Tell us a story. And of course, we have various stuff on rcroundtable.com and on the Facebook and that kind of stuff, and YouTube. If you're not watching YouTube, watch us on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, watch us, listen to us on a podcast. Leave us a like and a note on either one platform. Help the algorithms, and of course, tell them how much you love us. And on that note, unless you guys got anything else to say, we will see you later, and thanks for joining us. All right. Bye-bye.
Please visit our website at rcroundtable.com. That's where you will find all of our podcast episodes. You can also find a little bit of background information about the show host and leave comments and suggestions about the show. There are links to a few of our favorite vendors and also links to our various social media accounts. Thank you for watching and listening.